Hello, and welcome to your deeper dive into the energy of July. As you know from our last month's energy, it was very step by step methodical action, trying to set the intentions of what you want to create because the energy of July coming in was going to be very transformative energy. And when you're planting new seeds, usually in the tarot deck, the ace and the twos are planting new seeds and planning. Threes, which for July we have the Three of Wands and the deep blue dragon. So the Three of Wands speaks a lot to actually planning out those step-by-step actions. So there's still some of that slow, methodical steps, but it's not as slow as June was. You're going to be taking all of those intentions that you set last week with the new moon, and you're going to be creating a plan of action for those. That's what this card talks about. I'm just going to pull it forward a little bit for you. So the Three of Wands, his feet are planted still firmly on the ground. All of those wands are planted firmly in the ground. So he's not going anywhere yet. But you can see in the background, he's preparing for a journey. This particular human is preparing for a journey, right? So you can see the ships. You can see the journey that you're going to take in the water that's in the background. So what he is doing is he's planning for that journey. And because of his high vantage point, he's able to see the obstacles, the potential obstacles that are going to be in the way of those plans succeeding. So this is kind of the theme of July in terms of creating a plan of action that takes into account the obstacles that you may need to navigate and potential plans of action for how to navigate those obstacles as well. Planning is a huge theme, as well as continuing to take step-by-step action. So last week with the new moon, we set up the new intentions that we wanted to bring to life, that we wanted to manifest, that we wanted to create. And if you remember, those intentions are binding. So if you created an intention, if you set a plan into motion in your head, if you created that contract with spirit, that is binding. So it has to happen. It doesn't have to happen quickly. It doesn't have to happen in any particular way. It just has to be a focus of your attention. And so this is kind of you learning how to co-create with the universe in terms of planning how to make that happen. Keeping in mind that when you co-create with the universe, the how needs to be kind of let go. So you need to figure out like a potential plan of action. You need to plan for potential obstacles, and then you need to release that plan of action to the universe. You need to release how you're going to navigate those obstacles to the universe. The navigating of the obstacles is more how you're going to handle stress, how you're going to handle things not materializing in the way that you want them to, how you're going to deal with your own triggers, your own emotions, the things that are going to be coming up for you. That's more what it looks like in terms of planning for obstacles. So if you know you're going to get stressed out and overwhelmed by having an extremely full schedule, then you need to be plotting in your self-care so that you don't get stressed out. You need to be spacing everything out across the next coming weeks and months in a way that you aren't going to get burnt out by it, that you aren't going to get overwhelmed by it or stressed out by it, and go back to old behaviors that you've just recently let go. So just keep in mind that for July, we really want to see from that higher perspective, see from the finish line of what you're trying to create. And then once that plan has been created, you need to zoom back into, okay, what's the single step that I need to take today? So we're not staying at that really wide perspective for very long. We're just staying there for long enough to plan what needs to be done and to plan how you're going to navigate potential obstacles. Those obstacles looking like what are obstacles that you've faced in the past and how can you navigate them in a way that is aligned with who you are now. Okay, we've been going through a lot of transition, there's been a lot of changes. How can you navigate these same obstacles in a new way? That's the focus of this card for July. I also just want to call attention to, again, I already talked to about the feet being planted firmly on the ground, all of the staffs being very firmly planted in the ground. And I also just want to draw your attention to this very red cape, which is just another sign of making sure that you stay really grounded. So that's not staying in that wide perspective, not staying in like, these are all the things that I have to do over the next 1, 2, 3 months, however long this is going to take you to do. You want to zoom back in, stay in your body, stay very present in your day to day as you focus on the one thing that you need to do to move yourself closer once this planning stage is done. So that brings me to the deep blue dragon, and I'm just going to bring this card closer for you. So there's the dragon. And the guidance that comes with this card is that this dragon keeps you safe by clearing your pathway. Trust that you are protected. Walk on a path of light. And for this card, that's there's potentially going to be a lot of fear because we're creating new stuff. We're expanding. You are expanding into a new version of yourself. You're going to be doing things that you've never done before. And with stepping into the unknown, which is one of the cards that came up for last week, with stepping into the unknown, there is a lot of fear. And that's another reason why the grounding is so important for the month of July, is because you're going to be moving through a lot of fear as you expand and become something you've never been. The fear is literally just like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's not because there's anything actually, it's imaginary fears. It's imaginary fears, okay? So it's a lot of stories in your head that you're going to have to deal with. And in order to help you deal with the fear that's coming up, that's when you would call on the deep blue dragon and just know that this energy is around you, is supporting you, and is keeping you safe by helping clear your pathway. So you can see that this dragon is just burning everything that is no longer necessary. And that's the energy of this dragon. That's what that dragon is going to help you with, is clearing your pathway of the things that you don't need, of old behaviors coming back up, in dealing with obstacles that don't serve you anymore, in just ways of thinking, old stories. That's what you can expect in terms of what is going to be cleared. So again, as always, and probably for the next couple of years, maybe longer, there's going to be a lot of transformation. There's going to be a lot of release. There's going to be a lot of letting go. And it's because the way that we were is not going to be it's not going to be in alignment with where we're going, with the evolution that's happening, with humanity's evolution. The way that we used to deal with things is no longer viable because it's not in alignment with a higher vibration. So when you are in a higher vibration and you're doing all the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, you're eating well, you're drinking a lot of water, you're meditating, you're doing self-care, you're staying very present, you're doing all those high vibrational things. What do you think is going to happen if you decide to go on a weekend binge drinking vacation? We'll say vacation, but it's not a vacation. If you make the decision to go on a weekend binge drinking excursion, how do you think you're going to feel? So that's the kind of perspective to take when it comes to old behaviors, old stories, old ways of thinking, hanging out with people that maybe don't resonate with you anymore, doing things that don't resonate with you anymore. It's going to bring that same feeling in your body as doing like a weekend binge drinking excursion would have if you haven't drank for a really long time. It's going to make you feel like shit. So just be aware that anything that you're being asked to release, anything that you're being asked to clear through the energy of this dragon is going to be for your benefit. Trust that it's for your higher good. Trust that it's moving to you to a place that you need to go, and just allow the process to happen and continue moving. The walking on a path of light, just continue moving towards the things that you actually resonate with instead of taking a step back and going back to the things that you're comfortable with. So it's going to be a little bit of a balancing act between, or not a balancing act, it's going to be a little bit of a tug of war between moving into the unknown and knowing that you're safe moving into the unknown, and letting that fear take over and pulling you back to behaviors that you're comfortable with because you've always done them. So that is also going to include the ways that you interact with people, the reactions that you have, the stories that come up in your head, the behaviors that you choose to use, the action steps that you choose to take, and how you go about those action steps. All of these things need to be new, and they need to be, we're still listening to our intuition, we're still receiving guidance from the universe, so they need to be intuitively taken. So if you're not feeling pulled to do those things, if you're arguing with somebody and in your head you have a voice that's like, why am I doing this? Why am I arguing right now? Because this, like, I'm just doing this because this is something I've always done, not because I actually feel any energy pulling me to argue with this person. So just keep those things in mind as you move through July, because they're going to be the important ones that just help you move through that July transformation that I spoke about last week. At the end of July, you're going to have a better handle on all of the new things that are coming in for you. Enjoy.